Welcome to the vlog. A couple of days ago I did my fourth ever longest ride in over 50 years of cycling, but unfortunately there is a quick little spoiler alert as well. Unfortunately I was unable to film quite as much as I would have liked, and I'll explain why in a minute. So the ride I did was from here in Waterlooville to the city of Oxford, and if you were to look at that on a map and draw a straight line as the crow flies, it is more or less 100 kilometers, but obviously you don't cycle direct like that. So with the help of the Hammerhead dashboard and the Komoot app, I created a route that took it to 115 kilometers. Now the reason why I wanted to do that ride was because obviously in 2 weeks' time I'm going down to South Africa to do one of my absolute bucket list rides, the Cape Town Cycle Tour. And I just wanted to make 100% sure to myself that I was able to do that ride. So I thought, well, I'd recreate the metrics of that ride. So just to recap, they are the Cape Town ride is 110 kilometers with 1200 meters of climbing. I thought it was 1600 meters, but I recently saw a ride profile and it is only 1200 meters. But anyway, I thought I would just recreate those metrics and cycle to Oxford. Now, I started here bright and early on Sunday morning from Waterlooville, and my route took me initially to a place called Petersfield, which is about 12 kilometers, and that was all on the Queen Elizabeth Country Park cycle route, which is kind of off-road. It's not gravel or anything, but it isn't actually on the road. And very soon after starting that ride, I quickly realized that I needed to focus on doing the ride itself rather than doing pieces to camera, thinking about what I was going to say and stuff. So that's why I didn't film a great deal on that ride. So from Petersfield, my route then took me to a place called Alton. And the routing took me through what we call the hangers. Now, basically the hangers are very steep little climbs, 17, 18, 19%. It cut a corner off, but I knew it was going to be very, very tough. And within 15 kilometers of leaving the house, I was walking up these climbs, which obviously didn't do a great deal for my confidence and for my thoughts for the upcoming ride. But nevertheless, I managed to push on to Alton. And by that point, I'd cycled about 35 kilometers and I was starting to get a little bit tired. Now, my little sister lives in Alton, and it was very, very tempting for me to think, well, okay, I could just go around to her house, have a cup of tea, call Diana, my other half, and say, well, that's it, the ride's over, come and get me. But I just had a word with myself, and I managed to just ignore those feelings and push on. So from Alton, my route took me to a place called Odium and then on to the town of Reading. Now, once I was past Alton, I was kind of outside of my comfort zone a little bit, because although I'd driven those roads a few times, I wasn't overly familiar with them, and I'd never ridden them on a bike in my entire life, so I had no idea about what to expect. As it was, the route was pretty good. The road was relatively undulating but still fairly easy, and I got to Reading okay and managed to navigate myself through the town. It's quite a busy town, and by that point I'd cycled 70 kilometers or so. Once I got through Reading, I got to one of the outlying little towns called Caversham, and I knew then, once I got there, I had a 13, 14 kilometer climb up to a ridge level with a town called Didcot. And that part of the ride was really hard indeed. It was a very tight little country lane, no towns, no villages, nothing. It was just trees and road, and it was very, very hard and quite steep. But I still managed to kind of get myself through it, and I got to the ridge level with this town of Didcot, and I was pretty tired. My other half was tracking me on a phone app, so just in case anything happened, so she would have known exactly where I was. And again, I was very tempted to call her and say, you know, that's it, could you come and get me? But no, I continued to push on and continue towards Oxford. I came down off the ridge, and that brought me out in a town called Benson. And when I got there, the road did level out a bit and it became a bit more of a main road, so the surface was much better. But unfortunately, that's where the headwinds started, and I still had about 20 kilometers to go. And I was literally counting down every single kilometer. Every little descent, I was kind of calculating in my head, well, maybe this is 500 meters and that will take, you know, half a kilometer off. So when I get to the bottom there, I'll only have 18 kilometers. And it was incredibly tough. But somehow I managed to get myself to the city of Oxford. I was absolutely shattered, but I felt absolutely amazing. And I cycled to the very famous Bridge of Sighs and had my photo taken. So there's the proof that I managed to do it. And then I thought, well, I just need a rest now. But I just didn't know what to do with myself. I sat down, my legs started aching, so I had to stand up and move them about a bit. And after a few minutes of that, they started to ache, so I had to sit down again. So I was quite in a dilemma. But Diana managed to finally find me, and then we drove to the hotel. I had a nice warm shower. I was frozen through to the bone. And then I had a well-earned rest. So that was absolutely fantastic. And it really kind of gave me a boost of confidence for the ride down in South Africa. I knew 100% that I'm able to cycle 120 kilometers with 1,300 meters of climbing. So I exceeded the metrics for the South Africa ride. And another thing that it taught me was that I've got far more in the tank than I actually think I do. So when I got to Alton, only 35 kilometers into the ride, I was kind of all ready to give up at that point. But I did push on, and it was another 90 kilometers of cycling. So how I did that was just talking to myself and just trying to believe that I could actually do it. And lo and behold, I did do it. So yeah, if ever you're in that situation where you think you can't go on, yeah, you probably do have far more in the tank than you think you do. So now that I've done that big ride, the plan is to do what I believe runners do before they do a big event. Now, my understanding is that they call this tapering. So they'll go out and do their big training run, and then in the next 2 weeks, 10 days or so before the big event, they'll start taking things a lot easier. So that's precisely what I'm going to do. I'm still going to go out and do my 45 minutes on the turbo trainer every day. Unfortunately, the weather's still pretty bad, but those sessions won't be particularly hard. They'll all be kind of zone 2, nice and easy, just keep myself ticking over and just building up or maintaining the fitness that I've built up. If the weather does improve and I manage to get out on the road, again, I'll be going out and doing nice, easy rides, but they won't be, that long. They'll be 50 kilometers at most, although typically they'll probably be more like 25, 30 kilometers. Again, just nice and easy, just to keep myself ticking over. And then hopefully that way, that will just maintain the fitness, keep me nice and fresh, all ready for my big ride down in South Africa. So yeah, wish me luck.